Good afternoon. Okay, just to mention that even though Renate is not here with us, she will be joining us later on, not online, but she made a short video for us, so we'll see. Okay, so this is our Erasmus group at the beginning. We had Cami, we had Lily, we had Renata and myself, but unfortunately Cami and Lily did not go on with the project, so Renata and I put this into practice, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes. Now, we focused on ICE focal fields number 1, socially responsible behavior, interaction with others, and also on ICE focal field number 3, sense of belonging and knowing about or respecting own, others, and heritage cultures. And what we developed was around Hug Me, a picture book written and beautifully illustrated by Simona Ciraulo, and it's the story of this small cactus whose name is Felipe, and he feels that he is not understood by his family, so he sets off in search of a sort of a new family that might help him feel better, and what he does, he ends up finding a special friend in the end. So it's also a story that celebrates individuality, gentleness, and encourages free will to find one's place in society. So it's quite an interesting story. And it was published by Fly Eye Books, and we used the edition of 2020. Now, we started off by setting the context by asking children to compare different types of cacti and to talk about the size, flower, height. And in Italy, they did this, and they went a bit further, and they read about different type of cacti, and then they did a sort of a presentation in pairs of their favorite cactus plant. Okay. Then we moved on to the Peritectual Ponderings. So we started by showing the front and back covers of the book, and we asked children to look at them, obviously, and focus on certain details, the setting, the cactus, the character, and to try and predict what the story would be about. We have a cactus, the title is Hug Me, so, I mean, a bit strange, maybe. Then we moved on to the Peritectual Ponderings 2, because this book also has these beautiful front end papers, and we invited children to look at them closely and try and tell us who might these cacti be, what do they look like. We tried to invite them to identify, or try to identify some of the emotions, and, some of the emotions, and then we tried to relate that to their own relatives, because they saw that these were family portraits, so, and we asked them, what were their relatives like? Did they all look alike? Did they all have the same personalities? And some children even saw Felipe down there, so, which was quite... Okay, after reading the story, most of the work we did had to do with emotions, so sharing emotions, and we worked emotions in different ways. So we used plickers, which most of you must know by now. In Italy, they did these role plays. Later on, children were asked to illustrate emotions using different cacti templates. And we also asked them to find a continuation for the story. And in Italy, they really wrote the story. In Portugal, I asked my children to do cartoons, and I have 22 children in this class. So what we did was we had 22 different follow-ups, and the children then chose one, okay, which is this one. Okay, using some of the templates that I mentioned previously, in Italy, they used them and they made a multilingual dictionary. And at the beginning, the plan was to use English, Italian, and Portuguese. But then in Italy, Renata ended up using also Russian and Ukrainian. And we had a beautiful video, but I've been told there's no video here, so sorry. But I'll explain very briefly how it went. So why did they choose, or why did they add Russian and Ukrainian? Because at the Italian school, there was a Russian girl, and that was one way that Renata found to include her in the project, because she didn't really speak Italian, that's what I understood. And Ukrainian, the children asked the teacher to include Ukrainian because of the war, and because they thought, if an Ukrainian child comes to our school, then she'll be able to tell us how she feels, and she'll feel more integrated into the group. So that's it. Okay, then we had 2 Zoom meetings. The first Zoom meeting, we got to know a bit about each other. The children introduced themselves to each other by mentioning their name and age. Okay, sorry about that. And another activity we did was we co-created an emotions coding game. So how did we do that? We asked children to think about different actions and think which actions might provoke positive emotions or negative emotions on others. And we used this information to build this game, okay, which then children played in Portugal and in Italy. So there was a board, it's a board game. In Portugal, we played it as a classical board game, but in Italy, they played it as a classical board game, and they also used a sort of a TPR approach. So they used the floor as the board game. So it was, I think, interesting. And then we shared the experience on e-tweening. Okay. Now we come to the taking action cycle. So children have, by now, worked a lot with emotions. So what we did was we gave children these bracelet templates, which had messages, I like you because, or you're special because, and they had to complete it using a positive adjective, and they decorated them. And what we did next was, in Portugal, we offered these bracelets to the 2nd grade class. First we shared it in a Zoom meeting, and our children read the messages, or some of them read the messages to each other. And in Portugal, what we did, we offered these bracelets to a grade 2 class. So we visited the class, we explained the project, we showed and explained the activities, or some of the activities that the children did. And then we gave the bracelets to the other children. And we asked some of them why they liked it, because all of them liked it. It was a surprise, so... And one of them said, because it has cool things written on it. The other one, because it's colorful and has a beautiful message. Okay, and in Italy, it was similar. So they visited also a class. but they also explained the project to the other children. They watched the presentation, but they played the coding game, and only after that did they offer or give the bracelets to the children. Okay. Okay, we did some reflect and review activities throughout the project. Okay, this is one of the examples. We asked children to draw flowers or cacti to express how they felt during working, when they worked with the other the other students. And another one was head, heart, hands, which most of you have seen before. And most of the children mentioned emotions and helping each other, sharing, which is related, deeply related to the story. Okay, our main takeaways. So children liked the story, and they empathized with the main character. They showed enthusiasm in doing the different tasks assigned to them throughout the whole project. They learned about emotions. They showed special excitement when it came to the Zoom meetings, of course. They produced a final product and shared it with other students, so going beyond the story and going beyond the classroom. And they were really engaged. So, okay, some constraints. Well, it wasn't always easy, of course, but to complete, especially because we started this project, the school year had already begun, so it was sometimes difficult to meet the objectives we had planned at the beginning of the school year, and with this project in particular. And especially in the first reflect and review activities, what I found is that the weaker students, because they weren't used to doing these activities, found it a bit difficult. But it was exciting to share the results and impressions throughout the project. It was great to create common products. It was nice to feel part of a common process. And now I will leave you with Renata, and she will explain to you about her experience when she took part in the project, okay? And hopefully it will work.
Hello, my name is Renata, and I am a primary school teacher in Italy. I had the possibility to participate to this project, and I would like to share with you the meaning of this project for my work, my job. It gave me the possibility to speak and to work with my student on high topics, but in a funny way. We had a lot of fun, and we discovered lots of things together. And it has been a path that we shared in this wonderful world of the picture books. And another thing, for the very first time in my career, I noticed that my students understood that English is a means that opens new possibilities, and they enjoyed English for the very first time, maybe, because with the picture books they had the opportunity to share what they learned with peers in Europe, in other parts of Europe. And the satisfaction that I had with this job is something that I'm very happy with. And I hope that all the teachers that will use these ICEKits will have the same fun that we had together with my student. Thank you.
Okay, not yet the end, just a moment. This is from Renata, okay? Sorry, pity we didn't have the other video. Oh, well, so Renata's children did this, and we have this message. Well, actually, this is Renata's message. This is an Italian gift to all the people who supported us in this wonderful experience. So, and I think it was able to notice that she was really, really happy. So, I love the recycling. Yes, they did.
When we were talking about this, she said it was much more difficult than she thought because her glue gun wasn't working. But it still looks amazing, doesn't it? There you go. I really like the opening activity where they had to discover all these different cacti. I think that's really super. Yeah. So, questions from comments from people. I can stand here, can't I? Yeah. Thank you, Monica. Regarding your board game, how did you play it? Was it like Battaglia Navale?
No, it does look like so. Children had these situations, so they took a card, and then on the board they have these emojis symbolizing different emotions. So they would have to identify which emotion that action would provoke on the person, and then they would have to give directions. Go straight forward, turn right, turn left, until they reached the emotion. Okay, so it was a simple game.
It's a little bit like Battaglia Navale in the sense that you had, in the sense that you had to give directions, no?
Okay, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know. Battaglia Navale is the battleships, isn't it? Where you have to give a letter and a number.
Yes. Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know.
But you don't say
But that's
go
nice,
straight
though.
forward.
And that's based on a game which they already knew.
Yes, I mean,
Semi.
not really, but I mean, most children have played board games, so I
Oh,
mean,
yes, yeah.
not exactly the same, but I
Okay.
think they related to it.
Right.
And they enjoyed it, enjoyed playing
Yes.
it, so.
Lovely. How old were your students?
Mine, 8 to 9, and Renata's as well, so 4th year
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
I can't see the question, sorry.
Yes, what were the difficulties of the weaker students during the reflect and review? And I would like to add to that, what are your plans now for taking that problem that you had into consideration and resolving it?
Well, I think it had to do with the fact that they're not, at least my students, sorry, cannot speak for the others, but we're not used to reflecting, at least after the activities or certain activities. We do have the auto-avaliação, which is a reflection, but it's at the end of the school term, so it's different. And I think it has to do with that mainly. In the future, what I plan to do is to include these reflecting and review moments in class. Well, maybe not always, and probably not in every class, but I do intend to use it because it does make them think, as it had the same effect on us, I think, throughout the process. So it does help to change their perspective towards learning and, I mean, learning in general. So I do intend to use it, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Can you explain more about the synchronous sessions? What did the children do exactly with the Italian peers?
Well, very simple. The first one, we got to know a bit about each other. So Italian children got to know how part of our school was, where we lived, so the region, and our children, not all of them because there are too many, not enough time to do that, but some of them introduced themselves, and the Italian children did the same. So that's the first meeting. The second one, they shared the bracelets. They showed the bracelets to each other, okay? And they read the message.
Okay, lovely. Did you put the Multilingual Dictionary on the wall?
I didn't, but I know Renata did.
Yeah.
So
Yes, I think that we talked about that when I was helping you
Yes.
do the presentation, and I think she said that she made copies of it, so
Yes.
it was on, and she gave it to all the
It
key
was in-
people
in-
in the school.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it was
I
also
think-
in class,
yes,
and it
it was
was
also-
outside the classroom
Yes,
as
then they
well.
put it on the wall outside the classrooms, yeah, so they really did take it beyond
Yeah,
the classroom walls. Yeah, yeah. Was the information on the cacti in the pre-reading exercises in English? That seemed like a lot of text for 9-year-olds.
From what I understood, I just gave simple information to my children, but in Italy they worked the topic, but I think in Italian.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So because there's a difference. Renata is a primary teacher. I'm an English teacher. So Renata did many things, many other activities besides English activities, whereas I sticked to the English class.
Yeah.
So it was a bit different.
Yes, I
experience.
think you're right, because I remember also asking Renata that, and she did say that that was part of their Italian,
Yes,
and
they
wrote
had
the
a-
description in Italian, but of course it prepared the children for what they
Yeah.
were going to be doing in English,
Yeah.
so it was beautifully integrated.
And they had other activities as well, so
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah, very nice.
It's a
very
different
nice.
reality, so.
Yeah. What was the greatest challenge of this particular project? That's the last question.
Well, what I mentioned before, at least for me, because we started in November, so the school year had already started, so we had to, at least that's what I felt, I had to reorganize the work I had planned at the beginning of the school year. But I think that is manageable, okay? And what I feel is that if you plan it from the beginning, things will be much easier, and probably easier also to include the primary teacher if you're
Yeah.
the English teacher. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah,
It will
yeah,
be easier to.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much, Monica.
Okay, well done.
Thank you.